Hello, everyone. I am Madeleine. I'm a software engineer at Privy, a blockchain wallets company that was acquired by Stripe about a year ago. And I am here to talk to you today about agentic stablecoin payments. This is something that I have been focusing on for the last immediate history and have been thinking a lot about how Privy can position our product to best serve this new agentic stablecoin payments use case. The way that I'm going to structure this talk is I'm going to start with a high-level view. Why are agentic payments something that you should care about? Why should we be doing agentic payments with stablecoins? And then with that high-level view, we'll dive down into how you can actually start building agents that can pay for things, how you can start building apps that agents can pay for, and how to actually just start building in this agentic economy. So why agentic payments? Why is this something that is important and worth talking about? I'm going to do a brief history of agentic AI, history being again, immediate history. This doesn't go back that far. But what is pushing this field forward fundamentally is frontier models and frontier labs putting out better AI models that can reason better. They're super intelligent. They can do really good reasoning, and they're just basically really smart. But they're geniuses in a box. They inherently can't do anything to influence the outside world. They can generate text. You can ask them questions, and they'll give you really good answers. You can have them draft an email or summarize a report, but they're constricted to the context that they had when they were initially built. They're constricted to the context that you give them. And so this thing that we call agentic AI that is actually building agents is really giving a model tools. It's building an agent harness where a model has access to tool calls that it can make to influence the outside world and act agentically. So this model that can reason independently and that is a genius in a box can now actually go and write code on your machine. It can go search your email and actually send an email on your behalf. It can operate and influence the world around it. So then the next step in this evolution that I'm going to push for is AI as a fully autonomous actor. An AI model that it's not limited to just making API calls. It can also spend money. It can make purchases. It can make payments. It's as much of an autonomous economic actor as you and I are. It can go do real things in the world. And so the immediate use case that comes to mind here is have the agent go and do things that a human would otherwise do. So go scan my email inbox and pay all my outstanding invoices. Go and find me a boatneck sweater. I really love pink boatneck sweaters. Go find me one and buy it for me. And so I think that's where people immediately go when they hear about agentic payments. But I want to push people to think about net new types of commerce that we can do with this agentic commerce primitive. The purchases that people make now tend to be pretty big, bulk spending at once. Big in the sense of I rarely buy something for less than $1. Maybe the $3 subway fare is the lowest purchase that I make on a regular basis. But an agent can really rapidly make a bunch of small microtransaction payments within a really short period of time. And so this enables agents to go do things like mine a bunch of different proprietary data sources, or go read a bunch of news articles and generate a report based on that. So John Collison has a really cool sessions demo where he just gives funds to an agent and goes and says generate a report on how AI will impact energy costs. And it goes and buys premium data sources. You can think about the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times that for you are behind a subscription paywall. This agent can go and spend 2 cents buying an article. Agents are only as good as the context that they are given. They're only as good as the data that they have available to them. And so with this AI as an autonomous economic actor, it can actually go buy premium data and premium context and information so that it can generate better responses and it can just generally operate in a better, more intelligent way. So hopefully now you are convinced that agentic payments is something worth talking about. It is where agentic AI is going. Now I'm going to make the argument that stablecoins are the best rail to do all of these agentic transactions, and it is the best way to give an agent money to spend. So I'll backtrack a little bit because not everybody thinks about blockchains as much as I do. What are stablecoins? Stablecoins are fiat dollars that are represented as tokens on the blockchain. And so it's pegged to the US dollar. It is valued at exactly the US dollar. And I'm using US dollars because most stablecoins are US dollars. There are also like euro-backed stablecoins, but the US dollar kind of dominates this space. And these fiat-backed tokens are on the blockchain. And for those who don't know that, the blockchain is an automated banking ledger. Blockchains make it really easy to track state, to track like how much money I have in my account versus how much money Ben has in his account, and makes it really easy to make transactions between those accounts in a way that is decentralized, in a way that is really low cost. And a feature of blockchains that I think is really important for the agent use case is blockchains are natively programmable. So you can have a blockchain wallet that has certain policies and controls on it. So when you're giving money to an agent, you can, not at the agent harness level, not at a level where the agent can get around it, but at a cryptographic, security, deterministically backed API product, which is what Privy builds, enforce, don't allow transactions more than $10. Don't allow transactions more than $1. And if an agent wants to do a transaction that is more than that is above a certain spending threshold, then you need to loop in the user. So you can do it, but you can have different security controls for different actors on top of this wallet. So stablecoins are fiat-pegged dollars on the blockchain, on this decentralized automated banking ledger that allow really easy machine native movement of money. And this notion of being machine native is why I think it is so key to use stablecoins for this agentic payments use cases. So now I did a history of agentic AI. I'll do a history of payments. Payments 100 years ago, if I were there, I would have walked into a store with a coin or a physical cotton dollar and handed it over the store counter to the merchant. And the merchant would have, given me something back. It would have given me a book or, a carrot, to use the emoji icon. And this is how currency evolved. This is how money evolved. It was this physical concept because we only had the physical world. We didn't have this notion of a digital world. So when we invented this notion of the digital world and tried to do e-commerce and move money around online, we had to map this fundamentally physical primitive into the digital world. And Stripe crushed this. This is something we can do today. This is what Stripe's business is moving money on the internet. But when we did this and we kind of mapped this legacy system onto a new concept of the internet, we introduced inefficiencies. Money is not native to the internet. And so these inefficiencies look like different banks having to keep track of the state of how much money is in my account or somebody else's Ben's account. That is something that Bank of America has to actively track. And it's not something that you think about much as an end consumer, but this is a pretty big part of our economy. A non-trivial amount of dollars are spent for back offices that manage these databases and these data sets and making sure all the transactions going between accounts are valid. This is Swift, which was invented a while ago. And so now we are trying to put an agent into this transaction and into this e-commerce concept. And my take is that this just like stretches this notion of the dollar, which evolved to be a physical concept and is now like kind of vestigially mapped onto the internet in a way that's not super ergonomic or efficient. And we're just like stretching this system that we have too far. So if I want to do an agentic payment with a credit card, I am putting money in a bank account, like a digital bank account. I have this credit card on top of it that Visa is now going to orchestrate with a payment provider or like another payment provider. And then that like the bank is involved and the bank has to, move the money in my account. It has to like decrement my account by $5. It has to make sure that there's $5 in my account to spend. And, like the merchant has to be like, okay, the merchant's bank has to say, okay, yeah, like let's add $5 to their account. All of this is just like inefficient. It's legacy system and it's not machine native. It doesn't move at the pace that agents move. And so that's why we need to introduce stablecoins into the equation. Stablecoins settle instantly. They're fast. They're low fee. They're money at the speed that we expect the internet to move at. Like we expect at this point information to move at light speed and to move in a way that is free and easy. And we should expect the same from our payments and banking infrastructure. And agents are going to expect that. They need to be fast. They need to be low fee. And that's why stablecoins are the best way to give agents money to spend. Okay, so now hopefully you're convinced that giving agents stablecoins is the future of our economy. How can you start building that? Like where do you actually get started? So one foundational concept that we talk a lot about in agentic payments is the concept of 402. So most of us are probably familiar with the HTTP status codes. The most famous one is like 404, page not found. When people were architecting out HTTPS and the internet, they laid out all of these status codes for different errors that you could get back from API requests. And one of them was 402, like way back when they were designing this. But they had no way to actually realize this vision. They had no way to actually include payment as part of an API request. But now we do. Now we have stablecoins. We have a machine native way, an internet native way to move money that we didn't before. And so this is like a really major unlock that stablecoins affords us. And we have this use case of agents that can go fire off a bunch of API calls on behalf of a user in a way that we didn't before. So like we have a means and we have a reason to use this 402 protocol. And so two protocols that I'll call out that are aimed at solving this problem are the machine payments protocol. This is Stripe's. The Stripe put this out recently to solve this problem, and then X402 out of Coinbase. And both of these are aimed at moving money per API request and using stablecoins, but also using fiat rails alongside, and just generally moving money via API requests on the internet in a way that we were not able to before. Okay, so then where to actually start? Now I'm looking at docs pages. This marketplace, this concept of the agentic economy is a two-sided ecosystem. You need a way for merchants to accept agent payments. You need a place for agents to actually pay for things. And you need agents to be able to spend money. They need to like have a value store to spend them at. So the first side of this equation, Stripe is crushing and has spent a lot of time thinking about. There's this machine payments product that allows you to just like flip a switch on your Stripe account and you can start accepting payments into your Stripe account from agents. You can put middleware in front of any API endpoint and just specify, like have this API endpoint cost 1 cent. It's like 5 lines of code. And then all of a sudden your app can now be accepting agent payments and be a part of the agent economy. So this is a really cool product. Check it out. I've integrated it. It's great. The other side of this marketplace is what I'm going to focus on. This is what I at Privy spend most of my time thinking about. Privy, as I said, is a blockchain wallets company. So blockchain wallets are the nexus of control on blockchain. It's where stablecoins are actually stored on chain, and our APIs make it really easy to move money between different blockchain accounts. And so when we talk about agentic payments at Privy, the problem that we're trying to solve is what is the best way to get an agent a wallet to spend from. And so that brings me to a demo. This agentic sandbox that I flashed here is a easy CLI tool to give your agent, as a consumer agent, a wallet to spend from. You can load funds into that wallet as a user. You can revoke access of the agents. The agent can no longer access that wallet and spend from it. You can see all the transactions that agents are taking on your behalf. And so I'm going to run us through setting that up. So what I've done first is give the agent the skill. Skills are how we're seeing a lot of agent builders have agents on board to their product. It is basically a markdown file with a set of instructions that tells the agent, okay, here's how to use the CLI tool. Here's the API to hit. Here's the MCP server to use, so that the agent can onboard to the product in a way that is analogous to somebody, like a human clicking through a UI to onboard to an app or to a product today. So the agent is trying to figure out the skill. Sometimes it just takes a minute. Okay. Now it has figured out that it needs to log me in. So it runs the CLI login command and pops me as the user out to this screen. Now at this screen, I am telling the agent, agents.privy.io, this agent CLI, that this agent is allowed to transact on my wallet. So I'll hit approve. And now this agent has access to all the funds in that wallet. And by the way, this product and tool is something that we built using Privy. Privy is primarily a developer tools company, and this was us kind of dogfooding the product for the agentic use case, experimenting, trying to enable agent builders hacking around on building on agentic rails. And so you can use this tool, but you can also build this yourself with Privy if you wanted to build wallets into your app and make it really easy to create wallets and give access of those wallets to an agent. So now back at the CLI, we can see the agent has access to my wallet. It has my wallet addresses from that app. And the next thing I'm going to do is have the agent move money. So I'm going to say send $1 on Base, which is blockchain, to, I'll use my own wallet address just for ease of demo, but this could be any wallet address. I could send money to a merchant. I could send money to a friend. The point of this is that the agent is actually issuing transaction and sending real money from the value store that I gave it. Sometimes it gets the parameters wrong, but this is a really cool unlock. What you're seeing is an agent actually autonomously moving money. Specifically, the money is moving on chain, but this is real value that is moving around from an agent from via this CLI. So yeah, now we can see this transaction went through. $1 just moved, and I back at the UI for this agent sandbox can see, look, a wallet, $1 left my wallet just now. So I, as the user, gave access of this wallet to an agent. The agent can spend money, but I, as the user, can also see that these transactions are going through. I have that visibility and that sense of control. Okay, so then the next cool flow that I'll show is that 402 payment required header that I was talking about. So I'm going to use an API called transit402.dev, and have it tell me the best way to get to the Lower East Side from FIDE so I can get home. And this transit402.dev is what we internally have been calling an agent service. It is an app, it's a product that is specifically geared towards agents. The team is not heavily investing in UI. They don't expect users to actually onboard to their platform. It's just a set of APIs that agents can hit to get this enriched information, to get premium information, and include, like a cent per transaction request. Let's see. Great, yeah. So now you can see it went through. The best way for me to get home is the J train. That makes sense. That's what I took here. But it has all of this extra data. Like the next train is in 3 minutes. It has all this like premium information that Transit 402 scrapes and provides to agents via this API. So again, this demo is giving an agent like a real value store and sending transactions directly, but also including payment as part of API requests to get premium information so that the agent can give me as the user enriched, like better responses because it has better data available to it. Sweet. So I just threw a lot of information at you. If you were to take 5 things away from what I just said, I would recap as agents need a way to pay for things. We want agents to be more autonomous because we want to be able to delegate more complex tasks to them. And having a way to pay for things is going to allow them to be more autonomous economic actors. And then now we need a way to give agents a way to pay for things. We need like a value store to give to agents and a rail for them to move money on. And stablecoins are that infrastructure where agents can move money instantly. They can move money for really low fees. They can move money in a programmable way. And so stablecoins is the solution to this agentic payments problem. And then once we have that infrastructure set up, you can use protocols like MPP and X402 to include payment as part of an API request, so natively to the internet and to HTTP. And then the products that allow you to build in this space are Stripe machine payments, which allow you as a merchant, as an app, as a product, to accept payments from an agent. So agents can buy your product in whatever you're selling in a really native machine native way. And then finally, Privy makes it really easy to give agents a wallet. It makes and with this wallet, a really easy way to give agents funds to spend from on stablecoin rails. So I'll leave you with a call to action. I, as a builder right now, I just see so many cool things to build. We, as software engineers, as technologists, have spent the last, 40, 50 years building an internet where the target audience was a human. We built an internet that is full of UIs that are really pretty, they have great colors and we click through them as humans and they're just oriented towards this human experience. But what we need to build now is an internet that is native to machines. We need to build the agent internet. And agents, and kind of the tagline here is, it's a tale of two cities. There's going to be an internet that humans use and humans interact with, and then an internet that agents use that are more native and API that based and easier to crawl and understand. And we as payment providers are thinking a lot about the best way to do payments in this agent and machine native way. And you as builders, I'm very excited to see what folks build on top of these rails, what the agent services that you can build that make agents better, and basically all of the products that you can make available to agents so they can operate more autonomously and better for all of us. So I hope that you learned something. Thank you for coming.